In this video, we're going to go over a principle called the halo effect and really the opposite of that principle called the horn effect. And this has applications really in regards to any customer relations interaction you have, sales interaction, really any time you speak to someone in person, whether it be a prospect, a customer, otherwise, this applies to your own personal life too. More or less, the halo effect or horn effect is a cognitive bias to apply either positive or negative moral judgments based on some positive or negative physically identifiable characteristic that someone sees. Right. So an example of this is, let's say someone having positive physically identifiable characteristics, like maybe they're tall or attractive, that leads the viewer, of that person to believe that that person that contains those positively identifiable physical characteristics, that they're tall and attractive, that person also has other positive characteristics too that might not be physically identifiable. Okay, so a good example of this historically, this has been true. This has probably been true in your own personal life and your own personal biases. When someone is tall, handsome, they're well dressed, they're a man, oftentimes they have a good jawline. Those are oftentimes physically identifiable characteristics that lead someone to believe that, oh, this is a strong leader, right? Historically, that's how strong leaders have looked for most of mankind. Okay, even in your own everyday life, when you see someone that's attractive, just an attractive person overall, you're more likely to believe that person is trustworthy or nice, kind, honest, competent, that they have those types of positively, positive moral characteristics or moral characters, then because as a result of their physically identifiable characteristic that they're attractive. Okay, so although obviously we can't change how tall you are, and we can only change around the margins, how you're presenting yourself. We need to focus on how we can portray positive physical characteristics. Okay, so overall, we need to learn how we can best present ourselves positively, as those ultimately how we present ourselves to the viewer. That's an indicator. That's a mental heuristic or a shortcut is another way to put it, that people use ultimately to not have as great of a mental burden when analyzing someone. Right. So things that are within our control that we can apply to the halo effect or horn effect is, right, just overall present yourself well, right? Have tidy hair, have clean hands and face, right? Cover your tattoos if that's applicable. Smell good. The whole point is try to show yourself in the best light possible to any person in any interaction you have, as it's going to influence non-physically identifiable characteristics that they assume about us, right? We want them to assume that we're trustworthy and nice and kind and honest, and competent because of how we're presenting ourselves. So do everything within our locus of control, anything that we can personally control, in order to influence that person to perceive us accordingly, right? So that's the halo or horn effect.